Hi, I'm Mark. Welcome back to Foothill Paint and Fabrication. Well, today we're going to get back on the gaps on the trunk lid for the GTO. I told you guys I was going to sleep on it, come up with a plan. Well, in my dreams, I came up with a pretty good plan. Of course, it worked in my dreams. I have no idea what's going to happen today. I picked up a brand new quart of Evercoat's Metal to Metal and I have the makings of a plan, let me put it that way. So we're going to make kind of a tool to kind of, get that filler in there. Hopefully we don't make too much of a mess, and it works really well. So let's jump in here and get to work. Okay, here's the basics of the idea. Spread the metal to metal down inside here on this side of the quarter panel, down inside the rain channel there. Take a tool like this. I found a piece of scrap. It's thinner than the gap we want. Set it down in here and just slide it along and kind of gauge that or meter that out the exact thickness we want. It'll be a little bit proud, and then we're going to sand that back flat. Now to do that, the quarter panel down in the rain channel here, it goes at an angle, as you can see here. So that's the angle we want to reproduce. So I'm thinking if I take another piece of steel, we slide it up over here, and I tack it in place, then I can use that and just slide it along the deck lid, and it will hold this piece at the exact angle, so it gets a nice, smooth, kind of a troweled finish down inside there. I have no idea if this is going to work. It may be a total mess, maybe a nightmare, but this is what I came up in my dream, so we're going to give it a shot. Let me grab the welder. I need to kind of prop this up and tack this at the right angle, and then we're going to fine tune that a little bit and then start masking off where we don't want any filler, and then I guess mix them up and give it a shot. Okay, no welding. We're already on plan B, and the reason for that is if I was to weld that plate on there, it's more shallow down there than down here, and that would have just held my spreader tool up and allowed the filler to spill out from underneath it. And I want to try to keep that nice and clean up inside there. So what I did was I took that little piece of scrap sheet metal, and you can see I kind of ground like a knife edge on there. And so when that's in there, it'll gather up the material right here and then kind of compress it on the way back. And hopefully that lays down. I did sand it and file it, so hopefully it lays down a fairly decent, smooth, run or whatever. So I masked, before I started anything, I scuffed the whole area with 150 grit Scotch-Brite pad, and then I came back with 80 grit and scuffed the whole thing. Then you can see I've got it masked off fairly well. On the deck lid as well, because this is going to be a mess. I have a feeling it's going to be a mess. So, and then I just marked the extent of where I want to start filling, and then these dashes right here, all I did was put those down for like a reference to let me know about how thick I need to spread it initially before I close the deck lid and use this tool. I want to make sure there's enough in there, but not so much it's just blobbing everywhere. So that's basically it. Now, this metal to metal, it says right on the can, grind the paint down with 40 or 80 grit down to bare steel, and then apply it. I don't want to do that. I want epoxy down in that rain channel for sure. I want epoxy between everything if I can help it. So I did a lot of research, quite a few things telling me, yes, you can apply this right over epoxy. I couldn't find anything specifically from Evercoat stating that. There were a lot of question and answers. So I may be going a little outline here and just going to put this on epoxy, but body filler can go over epoxy, and this stuff is not much different. It just uses basically ground up aluminum inside of it for the filler. So we're going to take a little bit of a risk, proceed at your own caution if you're going to try something like this. I think it's about time to mix up some metal to metal and just give this a shot. All right, guys, I've got some mixed up, probably way too much, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and get this on here as neatly as we can, as quickly as we can. It's just like regular body filler. You got to make a good physical contact first before you try to make it pretty. Maybe I did make enough. All right, see what happens. Okay, doesn't look bad. Don't have enough material in a few spots. So let's move it around. Try it again. I ran out right here. It's cold in the shop, so I got a little bit more work time with this material. All right. Got this stuff all over me. Let's do a little cleanup and I'll bring you back. Okay guys, the lighting's not too great, but it came out pretty straight and it looks pretty good. It's going to need another coat. I see low spots in there, but what we're going to do is let it set up and then go ahead and get a sand on it, kind of rough it down, and then we can finish out because I didn't have enough to go around the corner right here. So we'll kind of do that and then second coat that down there. I just peeled the tape up with it still wet, and then I went with the putty knife and just cleaned down inside that fillet, right down inside there. So I didn't have much. I don't want to be sanded down inside corners if I can help it. So I'm just trying to help myself out here a little bit. But it wasn't a catastrophe, so that's a good thing. Let me lower the deck lid down and we'll take a look at it, and then we're going to let this set and then get some sanding done. All right, we're looking pretty good along there. Even along here, so I think that's looking really nice. It starts to run out of material right around in here. We need to add some more, and then obviously around this corner right here. But I think this is working. Now it's a little proud over here, so when we block that off, then we can round that corner over and make it look just like the factory edge. So yeah, let's let it set up and get the sandpaper out. All right, it's all set up, looking good. I took some lacquer thinner and wiped it down really good to get the stickiness off so it doesn't clog the sandpaper up too much. And before the metal set up all the way, I took a razor blade and I laid it flush right along here, and I just went along there just like a knife and just trimmed off all that sticking up there and make my job a little bit easier. It's not perfectly flush, but I knocked it off so it's a lot farther, so I didn't have to sand it off there. So I've got some 36 grit or 80 grit, I'm not sure what this is, but I've got it slid over just a little bit on this block. So the aluminum part right here, this is sticking out just a little down a little bit so the sandpaper doesn't dig in down here in the epoxy. I want a nice fillet in there, so I've got that set up like that. In fact, I think I'll take a piece of tape and I'll put it over here so it doesn't dig through the epoxy and get down to the bare steel. Let me get that tape on there, and we're going to get some sanding done and just kind of rough this out. I can tell we're going to need another coat basically over the whole thing, just to fill in some low spots and drag marks and everything else. I didn't think I'd get it in one shot, but we still have some more filling to do down here, so I can put a second coat on here and then do all the filling down at this end. So let me get some sanding done and I'll bring you right back. All right, let's lower the deck lid down and see how it looks. All right, it looks pretty good. It's much better, much improved. So if we just put this stir stick in here that I was using as my gauge, the gap is reduced quite a bit. In fact, it looks really good, but I want to go for better than that. Plus, we have to do more filling anyway. So it's looking pretty good right in this area, and then it starts to open up again. We just have to put another coat on it. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to scuff all this again with some 80 grit. We're going to blow it off real good, wipe it down, tack it off, and then get set up and do it again. All right, let's do it again. We'll start down here this time. Well, we got plenty in there, that's for sure. It's looking pretty good. Got a lot in there. Actually, it looks really good through here. I don't want to mess with it. It's a little low right there, but we're going to leave that because we're going to sand. I think I'm going to leave this and not even try to clean that up out of there. Maybe I'll clean it up a little bit and then we'll just peel the tape off. I don't know, the angle looks good. I got really good fill while I put my head in front of the camera here, but I think we're looking pretty good. Don't know what I should do. If I just leave that alone and cut it off with a razor blade, I think is probably the best bet. As long as it's filled all the way, that's all that matters. All right, that coat came out a lot better than the other one. Get some light on it for you guys. So it's actually looking really good, nice and smooth and straight. So we're going to let that set up a little bit. I'm going to peel that tape and then we'll let it sit a little bit more and try to get that razor blade on it. All right, get this before it sets up. Just peel it back on itself. It's a nice clean line right there. Perfect. Okay, let's get this cut off. It's setting up, but it's still soft, so I can slice it without any trouble. Make my life a lot easier. There we go, just like that. All right, it's looking pretty good. Way better than it did, that's for sure. So it's looking a lot more even, a lot tighter. If I try to put the stir stick in there like the gauge, it doesn't want to slide down. So we have some sanding we can still give. It's just dropping in a little bit. So that's good. So we've got a little bit of room to do some more sanding. It's kind of riding up. We need to do more sanding right here. And then we're pretty good. And then we go around this corner. And I thought I was a little shy, but I'm thinking I'm pretty darn close right there too. So might need a little more filling down here. I don't know, we'll see. But I'm pretty happy. This seems to be working out pretty good. Let me get a little more sanding done off camera. That's kind of boring. And then I'll bring you back. We'll take a close look at it and see if it's improved enough to stop or keep going. All right, guys, we are looking really good. It took minutes, like 2-3 minutes of sanding, because that tool riding up against the edge of that deck lid just, makes it just the perfect gauge and just makes it lay down nice and flat. And then all you got to do is kind of knock the high spots down. So it's working out really good. We do have some little low spots down inside there, not in and out like this, just like where it drug, and it'll leave a little groove. I can fill those with a putty knife. I don't have to, put it all back with tape and everything. And I got a little low spot right there. And I got a little bit of filling right here, but it is looking really good. That gap just looks way better than it did. Remember how fat it was down here? It looks really good. So pretty happy. Let me go ahead and clean this up, scuff it, and get another coat just in those 2 little spots. I just need to fill a few spots. Let it set up, do some sanding on it, and we'll come back and take a good hard look at it. All right, guys, it's looking really good. I think we're done with this one anyways. Looking really good. You can see some metal coming through, but that's no big deal. It's going to get more epoxy. I was able to make sure that metal to metal went over epoxy, I think probably 99% of the locations. So we're looking really good. Let's go ahead and close the deck lid and take a look at this thing and see how that gap looks. All right, it's looking really good. I just ran the stir stick down through there and it's nice and consistent throughout the whole thing. So the gap is really pretty even, really even. Even fixed this kind of goobered up spot down here where it was just kind of bent over right here. Not a very good look. I mean, the moldings go there, but you can still see it. But it's looking really good. You can see the metal to metal. You can see the steel and then the metal to metal. Now it's not that thick because remember the sheet metal rolls over there, so some of that's rolled onto it. But we did add some, quite a bit in a few spots. You know, right in here, right over there. But all in all, I'm really happy, and I'm not concerned one little bit about this stuff holding up. It is hard as a rock. Now, when I had this sanded and the top sanded, that was a sharp edge right there. That stuff is so hard you can almost cut your finger on it. So once I rounded it over, it feels just like a piece of sheet metal. So I'm pretty happy about that. Now, we still need to do this. There's no way I'm going to leave that with this one looking so good now, right? So that's kind of what, you kind of back yourself into a corner, you do something really nice, everything else has to be done the same way. So that's going to be filled right there. We still have some filing to do here to open that up, but that middle section needs to be filled, and you know, it's not so easy. When you raise this up, the trunk lid's still in the way, not like over here, you raise it up, you could tool it up and down, check it. Back here, I have no idea what I'm going to do yet, so I got to sleep on that one. There's a little spot over there, just kind of a, I don't know, it's a little bulges out a little bit, so it needs a little bit of filling, and maybe a little filling over here. But that side over there is looking really good, so it doesn't need much. So I'm pretty happy to get all this done. We still have a little tapping to do here and there because this side of the deck lid is down in a few spots. I still need to work that, but I'm pretty happy. This thing is looking really good. That gap right there is just about perfect. All right, guys, that pretty much wraps up this video on using that metal to metal filler to sweeten up these gaps on the trunk lid. Now, I would of course never use that on the edge of anything like a door edge or anything else, but on this big flat area right here, I have no qualms about it. It's going to hold up just fine. And I will be using the same technique probably on the door jambs as well. As you guys recall, I did weld up the edge of those doors and ground it and filed it. That's because they were kind of in and out. It wasn't a nice gradual curve. And then we'll probably use this exact same tool to get that line just nice and parallel from top to bottom. But, you know, I'm pretty pretty happy to get this knocked out, get the proof of concept on that tool, and kind of figure out how to make it work. I still have the rest of the deck lid to do, but I'll do that off camera. And yeah, it's looking really good. Thanks for joining me here at Foothill Paint Fabrication. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Mash that bell and drop me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. We'll see you on the next one.